Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with President Erdogan of Turkey.
Bước ngoặt trên bàn cờ địa chính trị, phân tích cuộc gặp thượng đỉnh Trump-Erdogan và tương lai thỏa thuận F-35. Cuộc gặp thượng đỉnh ngày 25 tháng 9 năm 2025 tại Nhà Trắng giữa Tổng thống Hoa Kỳ Donald Trump và Tổng thống Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ Recep Tayyip Erdogan là một thời điểm mang tính bước ngoặt, có khả năng định hình lại mối quan hệ chiến lược Mỹ-Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ sau 6 năm rạn nứt sâu sắc. Tâm điểm của cuộc gặp là chương trình tiêm kích tàng hình F-35, vốn vừa là biểu tượng của hợp tác công nghệ quốc phòng NATO, vừa là nguồn cơn của sự chia rẽ. Việc Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ bị loại khỏi chương trình vào năm 2019 sau khi mua hệ thống phòng không S-400 của Nga đã gây ra một cuộc khủng hoảng lòng tin nghiêm trọng. Cuộc gặp này được thúc đẩy bởi phong cách ngoại giao mang đậm dấu ấn cá nhân của Tổng thống Trump và những nhu cầu chiến lược cấp bách của Tổng thống Erdogan, không chỉ là một cuộc đàm phán về máy bay chiến đấu. Nó đại diện cho một nỗ lực tái định vị chiến lược của cả hai quốc gia. Mối quan hệ được mô tả là rất tốt giữa hai nhà lãnh đạo đã tạo ra một kênh đàm phán trực tiếp, có khả năng phá vỡ thế bế tắc mà các kênh ngoại giao truyền thống không thể giải quyết. Kết quả của cuộc gặp này chắc chắn sẽ tạo ra những tác động lan tỏa sâu rộng đến sự thống nhất của NATO và cán cân quyền lực ở Đông Địa Trung Hải. Nguồn gốc: cuộc khủng hoảng S-400 và F-35. Ban đầu, Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ là một đối tác không thể thiếu trong chương trình F-35, đã đầu tư hơn 1,4 tỷ đô la Mỹ và cam kết mua hơn 100 chiếc máy bay. Ngành công nghiệp quốc phòng nước này chịu trách nhiệm sản xuất hơn 900 bộ phận quan trọng cho F-35. Bước ngoặt xảy ra vào năm 2017 khi Ankara ký hợp đồng mua hệ thống S-400 của Nga. Quyết định này phản ánh sự mất lòng tin ngày càng tăng của Tổng thống Erdogan đối với phương Tây, mà ông coi là mối đe dọa lớn nhất. Đối với Washington và NATO, quyết định này đã vượt qua một lằn ranh đỏ. Mối lo ngại cốt lõi là hệ thống radar của S-400 có thể được sử dụng để thu thập dữ liệu tình báo nhạy cảm về các đặc tính tàng hình của S-35, làm suy yếu lợi thế công nghệ của toàn bộ khối NATO. Khi Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ bắt đầu tiếp nhận các thành phần S-400 vào tháng 7 năm 2019, Washington đã chính thức loại Ankara khỏi chương trình S-35. Quyết định này đã tạo ra những hậu quả nặng nề cho cả hai phía. Các công ty quốc phòng Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ mất đi các hợp đồng trị giá ước tính 9 tỷ USD và không quân nước này mất cơ hội hiện đại hóa. Ngược lại, hành động của Mỹ cũng gây tổn hại cho chính chương trình F-35. Việc loại bỏ một nhà cung cấp quan trọng đã gây gián đoạn chuỗi cung ứng, khiến Lầu Năm Góc phải chi thêm 500 đến 600 triệu USD để tìm kiếm các nhà cung cấp mới, làm chậm tiến độ sản xuất và tăng chi phí. Động lực, đàm phán và lợi ích chiến lược. Khả năng tạo ra một bước đột phá vào năm 2025 phụ thuộc phần lớn vào động lực cá nhân giữa hai nhà lãnh đạo và sự hội tụ của các lợi ích chiến lược. Phong cách giao dịch của Tổng thống Trump đã biến một vấn đề phức tạp về an ninh thành một cuộc trao đổi lợi ích trực tiếp. Ông đã ra tín hiệu rằng các lệnh trừng phạt có thể được dỡ bỏ gần như ngay lập tức nếu cuộc họp diễn ra tốt đẹp. Về phần mình, Tổng thống Erdogan đã đến Washington với một sự chuẩn bị kỹ lưỡng, nhấn mạnh khoản đầu tư 1,4 tỷ đô la Mỹ mà Ankara đã trả nhưng chưa nhận được máy bay. Trọng tâm của bất kỳ thỏa thuận nào đều xoay quanh một điều kiện không thể thiếu, việc Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ phải đồng ý vô hiệu hóa hệ thống S-400. Các phương án được đề xuất bao gồm việc loại bỏ các thành phần quan trọng hoặc chuyển giao toàn bộ hệ thống đến một khu vực do Mỹ kiểm soát tại căn cứ không quân Incirlik. Đối với Washington, việc hàn gắn quan hệ với Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ sẽ củng cố sườn phía nam của NATO, hạn chế ảnh hưởng của Nga và thúc đẩy các lợi ích kinh tế thông qua các hợp đồng quốc phòng và thương mại lớn. Đối với Ankara, việc quay trở lại chương trình F-35 là một ưu tiên cấp bách để hiện đại hóa phi đội không quân, đặc biệt khi đối thủ khu vực là Hy Lạp đang trên đường sở hữu chúng. Điều này cũng sẽ là một cú hích lớn cho ngành công nghiệp quốc phòng và khẳng định lại vị thế quốc tế của Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ. Các lựa chọn thay thế và tác động lan tỏa. Lập trường đàm phán của Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ được củng cố đáng kể bởi việc họ đã tích cực theo đuổi một loạt các phương án thay thế. Mặc dù tái gia nhập chương trình F-35 vẫn là lựa chọn lý tưởng, Ankara đã tiến gần đến một thỏa thuận mua 40 máy bay chiến đấu Eurofighter Typhoon từ châu Âu, một phương án thay thế mạnh mẽ và thực tế. Các giải pháp khác bao gồm mua thêm và nâng cấp phi đội F-16 hiện có như một giải pháp tạm thời và phát triển tiêm kích nội địa thế hệ thứ 5 KAAN như một mục tiêu dài hạn. Sự tồn tại của các lựa chọn này đã mang lại cho Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ đòn bẩy đáng kể trên bàn đàm phán. Kết quả của cuộc gặp sẽ tạo ra những tác động sâu rộng. Đối với NATO, một thỏa thuận thành công có thể hàn gắn một rạn nứt nghiêm trọng, nhưng cũng có thể tạo ra một tiền lệ nguy hiểm rằng một quốc gia thành viên có thể thách thức các nguyên tắc an ninh cốt lõi mà không phải đối mặt với hậu quả lâu dài. Ở Đông Địa Trung Hải, việc Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ có được F-35 sẽ khôi phục lại thế cân bằng quân sự với Hy Lạp, nhưng cũng có thể châm ngòi cho một cuộc chạy đua vũ trang mới. Đối với Nga, đây sẽ là một thất bại địa chính trị làm mất đi cái nêm chiến lược mà họ đã tạo ra trong lòng NATO. Tuy nhiên, ngay cả khi vấn đề F-35 được giải quyết, những khác biệt sâu sắc hơn về dân chủ và nhân quyền giữa Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ và các đồng minh phương Tây vẫn còn đó. Kết luận, cuộc gặp thượng đỉnh Trump-Erdogan đã mở ra một con đường thực tế để giải quyết cuộc khủng hoảng F-35, S-400. Sự thành công của một thỏa thuận cuối cùng phụ thuộc vào sự sẵn lòng của Tổng thống Erdogan trong việc đưa ra những nhượng bộ thực chất về hệ thống S-400 và khả năng của Tổng thống Trump trong việc vượt qua sự phản đối từ Quốc hội Mỹ. Các kịch bản có thể xảy ra bao gồm một thỏa thuận toàn diện, một thỏa thuận từng phần hoặc tiếp tục bế tắc. Bất kể kết quả ra sao, cuộc khủng hoảng này đã mang lại một bài học chiến lược quan trọng. Hoa Kỳ và NATO cần phải phát triển một chiến lược dài hạn và linh hoạt hơn để quản lý mối quan hệ với một Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ ngày càng quyết đoán và theo đuổi chính sách đối ngoại đa chiều.
Called out Obama and Biden administrations for their stupid decisions. One example you gave was a refusal to sell the Patriot missile defense systems to Turkey, which resulted in the expulsion of the country from the F-35 program. Now, you are known to be a great deal maker in Turkey. What can you do to undo the stupidity? Yes, CNN.
CNN? Well, because you sounded like a nice guy, but CNN is fake news. I mean, but you sound like the real deal to me, so I'll answer the question. We're going to be discussing the Patriot system, which is the best system. We'll discuss that. We're going to discuss the F-35. We'll be discussing all of the things that you know about and that some of that you mentioned. And I think he'll be successful with buying the things he'd like to buy.
What concrete steps can you say?
Well, we'll have to see that. We haven't even started yet, but I know he wants the F-35, and he's wanted that, and we're talking about that very seriously. And the F-16, we're in great shape. Certain other things he needed, as you know, and I'm going to see to it that we get that to him. He needs certain things, and we need certain things. And we're going to come to a conclusion. You'll know by the end of the day. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, I will walk back with Mr. President.
Sayın Cumhurbaşkanım, siz Başkan Trump'ın ne kadar barış için çabalar gösterdiğini daha önce de söylemiş bir Cumhurbaşkanısınız. Ve siz de bölgede birçok ülkeyle, birçok liderle görüşmeler, kontaklar kurabiliyorsunuz. Bu konuda birlikte nasıl çalışabilirsiniz gelecekte?
Buna inandığım için zaten bunları söylüyorum. Birlikte el ele bölgedeki bu sıkıntıları aşacağımıza da inanıyorum.
Mr. President, Mr. President.
When are you planning
Because I haven't learned his language yet. What did he say?
The gentleman was asking, Mr. President, you have referred to President Trump's peace efforts, and you have also contact with many leaders in the region. And what do you think that you can do about this? And Mr. President has said that, yes, I believe in the peace efforts that President Trump is leading, and together we will be able to overcome the challenges in the region.
I think it's true. He's got tremendous influence in the region. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, when are you planning to lift Qatar sanctions against Turkey?
Against sanctions against Turkey?
Qatar.
Could be very soon.
Mr.
If we have a good meeting, almost immediately.
Mr. President, are you willing to impose tougher sanctions on Erdogan is removing tariffs on U.S. goods, and what impact it would be in U.S. production?
Where are you from?
Turkey.
I see. We have a lot of people from Turkey here. That's
You are
good. Because I like the
responsible.
questions very much, actually. They're very nice questions. We'll see about tariffs. We're going to be talking about tariffs.
We already removed that.
Well, we're going to be talking about that.
Tougher sanctions on Russia, even if not all NATO countries stop purchasing Russian oil?
We're going to be seeing about that. The NATO countries were disappointing in that regard, but they've been very amazing in other ways. They did, as you know, they went from 2% to 5% GDP, and that's a big step, and it's paid. I mean, they have the money there. And we're selling a tremendous amount of military equipment to NATO. We're selling. We're not giving like Biden did. We're selling it to NATO, and it's a lot. They're buying a lot, and I assume they're giving it to Ukraine. They could buy it for other reasons too, but I assume they're giving most of it to Ukraine. But they're buying highly sophisticated weaponry, and they're paying for it full price, and that's how we're involved. Biden gave $350 billion. Look, this war would have never started if I were president. If I were president, this war would never be happened. Would have never happened. Yeah.
Mr. President, I'd like to talk about Gaza. Are you on the same page, Mr. Erdogan?
for Palestine, Israel?
Well, I don't know his stance. I can't tell you about that. I just say that we want to get Gaza over with. I had a great meeting with the leaders of that area, of that region, generally speaking, the Middle East. We had a great meeting the other day at UNGA, as you know, and I think we're close to getting some kind of a deal done. Yeah, we want to get the hostages back. I have to get the hostages back. We're the ones that got the hostages, all of them that we have now. But it looks like there are 20 living hostages and probably 38 or so dead hostages. Pretty sad. And the parents of those dead souls, those dead, mostly men, boys, in many cases like literally boys, they want those bodies back so badly, as much as though they were alive. And so we had a very good meeting with the representatives of the most powerful countries in the Middle East, and I think we're going to be close to a deal.
Mr. President, we've noticed that in the Ukrainian war and during the Israeli-Iran war, the airspace of the NATO countries is very fragile, and it needs to be stronger. And in that sense, Turkey being the second largest army in NATO, it needs to support its air force and air defense. How do you look at this issue in general as a NATO? Because it's the eastern flank of it.
We're in NATO, and you know, they're paying now 5% of GDP. Nobody thought that was possible, and they agreed to that 6 months ago when I was there. And the relationship is very good. The NATO countries, with us, is the strongest it's ever been. We used to complain that they're paying 2%, but they're not paying. The United States was paying almost everything. And now they're paying 5%, and they paid. And that's trillions of dollars. You know, we're talking about trillions of dollars. And they're spending that, giving that money to us, and we are giving them great defensive, you know, the Patriots and all of the different javelins, all the different missile systems and everything else that they want. But it's, you know, it's trillions of dollars. So we appreciate that they did that. So they went from 2% to 5% of GDP, and that was something that nobody even would bring up. Biden should have brought it up a long time ago, because under Biden, we paid $350 billion, and all it did is make things worse. So we'll see how it goes. Go ahead, just kidding. Yeah, go ahead.
F-35s to Turkey. Fighter jets, F-35s.
We're talking about the fighter jets for Turkey. Yes, we are.
Are we going to see any steps going to be taken today about the issue, about the things that are going on in the Gaza, Palestine? Are we going to?
It could be today. Yeah, it could be today. We have a very strong dialogue going on with Saudi Arabia. With, I would say, you have 4 or 5 real leaders that are being good. As you know, I met with Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE. We met with Jordan. The King of Jordan was there. We had a really great meeting. I think a lot was determined at that meeting. And I have to meet with Israel, and I have to do that also. They know what I want, and I think we can get that one done. I hope we can get it done. A lot of people are dying. But we want the hostages back. We don't want them back, 1 this week, 1 in 2 months from now, 3 later, and, you know, like the way it's been going. We got them all back. We got a lot of them back. We got the American Alexander. We got the American hostages back. But we have now 20 plus 38 bodies, dead bodies. And we want them all back, and we want them back at one time.
President Erdogan will help to release the hostages?
Do I think what?
Do you think President Erdogan will help to release the hostages?
I don't know if he'll help in that. I don't really think we have. I don't think it'll be necessary in this case. I think we're going to be in a pretty good position. There are a lot of people that want that done. I met with great leaders. Look, you saw the people that were there, and great leaders. Egypt was also represented. We met with the leaders of that part of the world, and they want to see if they can get something done. And I'm going to have to tell Israel, let's go. We want to get the hostages back. Everybody wants to see that war over with, by the way. Everybody. So we're going to see what happens.
Mr. President.
How do you see a joint initiative with President Erdogan to bring the President of Russia, Putin, and President Zelensky to the negotiating table?
Well, I can tell you that President Erdogan is very respected by both of them. Everybody respects Erdogan. They really respect Erdogan. I do. And I think he could have a big influence if he wants to. Right now, he's very neutral. He likes being neutral. So do I like being neutral. But he's somebody that if he got involved, the best thing he could do is not buy oil and gas from Russia. If he did that, that would be probably the best thing. He knows Putin like I know Putin. I thought Putin, I settled, as you know, 7 wars, and it's probably more than that if you really want to know the real facts, but 7 wars, and I thought this would be among the easier ones to settle. But I'm very disappointed in Putin. And he's been fighting hard, he's been fighting long, and they lost millions, they lost like 1 million soldiers. And you know, with all of the heavy bombardment over the last 2 weeks, they've gained almost no land. Think of that. They've gained almost no land. And I'm not going to ever call anybody a paper tiger, but Russia spent millions and millions of dollars in bombs, missiles, ammunition, and lives, their lives. And they've gained virtually no land. I think it's time to stop. I really do.
A few months ago, you met with Aliyev and Pashinyan. Can you follow up
So
on...
where?
You met with Aliyev and Pashinyan, Azerbaijan President Aliyev and Pashinyan. Can you follow up on what you want to say about current process?
No, I can't. I just...
Mr. President.
I like this guy. I like him. He's from CNN. Fake news, the worst fake news, but I like him. So it's CNN Turkey. I'll get Brian. Go.
Syria has been a major issue between the two countries for the past decades. And you said the future of Syria is in Erdogan's hands back in, I think, December and January. And the countries are in the process of integrating regional fractures into the main government. When do you want to see that happen?
Well, I think President Erdogan is the one responsible for Syria, for the successful fight in ridding Syria of its past leader. And I think this man is responsible. He doesn't take the responsibility, but it's actually a great achievement. They've been trying to do it for 2,000 years. I said, he does it. He did it. I mean, they're your surrogates. I think you should take the credit for it. I told him, take the credit. For 2,000 years, you've been trying to take over Syria. He took over Syria, and he doesn't want to take the credit. You know, all of those people are his surrogates. But the leader of Syria, the new leader, as you know, I took sanctions off in order to let them breathe because the sanctions were very strong. But I think we should have a major announcement today. He was responsible for that victory. It was a victory for Turkey because they've been fighting, as you know, for like 1,000 years. And it never went, you know, it was back and forth, but he's responsible for that. So he would have a lot to say with respect to Syria. But at his request, I took, and the request also of the King of Saudi Arabia, it's very interesting, and Qatar, they said if you could take the sanctions. We had very strong sanctions. They couldn't have lived with those sanctions, and I took them off to give them a chance to breathe. But the president was one of the people that was responsible for that. He asked me to do it.
Mr. President, furloughs are very typical when the government shuts down. Why is the administration directing federal layoffs of federal workers this time around?
Well, this is all caused by the Democrats. They asked us to do something that's totally unreasonable. They never change. They want to give money away to illegally, people that entered our country illegally. They want to give them massive federal money. And we don't want to do that because it means everyone's going to just keep pouring back. Right now we have absolutely perfect borders like you haven't seen in many years. Even better than I had great borders during my 4 years. but these borders are stone cold closed. You can only come into our country legally now. But the Democrats want to give it all away. They want to open up the borders. Take a look at that. Big thing. They want to open borders again. After what we're going through now, getting rid of prisoners, getting rid of all of these people dropped out from mental institutions, drug dealers, drug addicts, everything. They're putting everybody into our country. It's all ended now. But this is what Schumer wants. This is what the Democrats want. They want to have, and they want to take our money. We're doing well because of tariffs. We're doing unbelievable. We're making more money than we ever have made. And by the way, we're going to take some of that tariff money that we made, just to get off the subject for a second. We're going to take some of that tariff money that we made. We're going to give it to our farmers, who are, for a little while, going to be hurt until it kicks in. The tariffs kick into their benefit. So we're going to make sure that our farmers are in great shape because we're taking in a lot of money. We're finding, the other day, it was very interesting, they found $31 billion. They said, sir, we found 31. I said, you mean positively, right? They said, yeah, 31 million more than we knew. And they said, we don't know where it came from. I said, check the tariff shelf. They came back the following morning. They said, you're right, sir, it came from the tariffs. We've never seen anything like this. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking some money from all of the tariff money that we've taken, and we're going to distribute it to our farmers until the tariffs kick into their benefit, which ultimately the farmers are going to be making a fortune. But it's a process of, it has to kick in. All right, maybe one more.
There was another shooting at an ICE facility in Texas yesterday. Detainees were killed. The FBI director posted on social media bullets that were engraved with the message anti-ICE. He just posted another thing on social media saying they recovered a handwritten note from the subject that read, hopefully this will give ICE agents real terror to think, is there a sniper with AP rounds on that roof? Who do you hold responsible for the uptick in left-wing violence in the country?
Radical left rhetoric. The radical left is causing the problem. They're out of control. They're saying things, and they're really dumb people. I mean, I look at Crockett. I look at some of these people. They're very low IQ people, actually. But the radical left is causing this problem, not the right. The radical left. And it's going to get worse, and ultimately it's going to go back on them. I mean, bad things happen when they play these games. And I'll give you a little clue. The right is a lot tougher than the left. But the right's not doing this. They're not doing it, and they better not get them energized, because it won't be good for the left. And I don't want to see that happen either. I'm the president of all the people. But the radical left is causing this. The radical left Democrats are causing this problem. And it gets worse. It gets worse, and it'll be a point where other people won't take it anymore, and that will not be good for the radical left, and we don't want that. Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, it seems like an indictment on James Comey is imminent. Would this be the first step in accountability for pushing the hoax of Russia, along with Barack Obama involved as well?
Well, I can't tell you what's going to happen because I don't know. You have very professional people headed up by the Attorney General, Todd Blanche, and Lindsay Halligan, who's very smart, good lawyer, very good lawyer. They're going to make a determination. I'm not making that determination. I think I'd be allowed to get involved if I want, but I don't really choose to do so. I can only say that Comey's a bad person. He's a sick person. I think he's a sick guy, actually. He did terrible things at the FBI. And but I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. Thank you very much, everybody.